Hi, this is Matt Allington from Accelerator BI. I'm excited to be able to show you the report that I helped Dave produce for his fantastic website, thecholesterolcode.com. I'll provide the links for this blog post and also the interactive reporting which I'm about to show you. So here I am at cholesterolcode /blood pool, and if I come down here, you'll start to see the first of one of the visualizations that I've produced using Power BI. And you'll note here that there is an interactive link, and I'm going to take you through to the Power BI report and show you how you can navigate and drill into the detail. So I've clicked on that link and you'll notice that I'm taken to a web page, and note down the bottom that this says this is page 4 of 9. So there's actually 9 different pages that make up this total Power BI report. And they're all very similar. Most of these reports have interactivity. And so, for example, this particular chart shows average HDL versus average LDL on a scatter chart here. And you can hover over any of these individual points and see the individual scores plus the name of the person that registered that score. Now, sometimes with these scatter charts, the existence of these outliers mean that it can be very difficult to see the detail down in the main section down here. So it is possible to right-click and exclude any of these data points if you'd like to get rid of those outliers so that you can have a look at the finer detail. So you can just individually right-click and exclude them, and what that will do will explode the underlying detail, and you can see what's going here. It's also possible to use this slicer at the top here. It's a multi-select, so if you click on one or more of these items, you'll add the different dietary conditions that the individual people were following as they led up to their blood test. And you can see that this also filters this section down the bottom. And currently on the right hand side I'm looking at the triglycerides, but if you want to see the distribution of HDL for fasting and LCHF, or if you want to look at LDL for people with zero carbs, you can just come in and click on these slices to do that. So that's the general interactivity. Now don't forget that I have applied a filter here, and so if you want to remove that filter, you just need to come up and click refresh, and that will reload that page without any of the filters applied. I should also point out that the units for each of these charts is by default in the US measurement, which is milligrams per deciliter, but if you want to use the international units, you can switch the chart over to millimoles per litre, and everything else still applies. So now you have the basic principle of how these charts work. I'm going to navigate through to the first chart, and this is just simply a list of all of the people that submitted their blood tests, and it shows their individual average result. So if they had more than one blood test, the results on this page would be the average. And if you want to see the underlying details for any of these individuals, you can just right click on their name, drill through to see the individual results, and you'll see each of the results for each of the blood tests that have been produced for that particular person, and showing a chart here of the individual results. Then you can go back to the main page. There are a number of filters here. Once again, you can switch to millimole per litre if you like, and you can also filter for individual diet type. Moving on to the next chart. This second chart shows a number of histograms of each of the major measurements, same filters as before. Going on to the third chart, this is very similar to the first chart that I showed you. In this case, we're showing average HDL versus average LDL on the same scatter chart, with a histogram over here on the right hand side. Same as before, you can right click to exclude any of the individual people if they're outliers. I'll skip over the chart we started with and go now to HDL versus total cholesterol. At the Low Carb Down Under conference in the Gold Coast earlier this year, I learnt that the total cholesterol to HDL ratio is the most important ratio, and basically anyone under 4.5 can generally be considered to be in good health and have a low, small LDL particle count. And you can see here, therefore, as we move across the page here from the top left down to the bottom right. The red indicates a higher total cholesterol to HDL ratio, and so basically the darker the green, the better the ratio for that individual. Moving on now, looking at total HDL versus triglycerides. Same type of chart before, same opportunity to remove the outliers should you need to. And this particular chart shows the HDL versus LDL. This chart on the right just gives you another way to visualize the comparison between LDL and HDL. And the last two pages of this report just basically give you the detail. So here are the individual people with how many tests have been provided. Same as before, if you want to drill through to those individual people, you can either just click on them and see the results here, or you can right click and drill through to see the individual results, and it shows you those results on a single page.